for the next album.
Georgian chant,
mostly influenced by Gregorian chant. It will be.
Although I did tell them that was my Italian chef impression when I was doing the part. Definitely like, whoa, yeah. I'm gonna stop right now.
Welcome to the 128th episode of the Casa Inns Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview bands and public figures from the mathcore adjacent communities. My guests today dropped their debut album, Mana Regmata, back on the 11th this month. Welcome in Heavy Meta. How's it going?
Good. What's up?
Hey, did I say that name correctly? Mana Regmata?
That's it, yeah.
Alrighty, nailing it. But yeah, I'm so glad you guys were able to make it here. Can you just tell us who you are, what you do in the band?
I am Phil. I play guitar.
Rich on drums.
I'm Kishore. I play bass.
All right. I saw that y'all made a funny little names for this stuff on your Bandcamp. Rich does Smash, Phil does Shred, Kishore does Big Shred. I like that. I should go with that instead next time. But anyway, it looks like you guys started Facebook back in 2018. I guess it's when you guys came together. It was around that time?
Not really. We've actually been, like, me and Rich have been playing since probably 2013. Well, I mean, we go back since like 8th grade, honestly. It's kind of nuts how long we've been playing music together, but as Heavy Meta.
Even the Doppler stuff.
And the Doppler stuff and all that.
They were in a band before Heavy Meta together.
Yeah, it was, would you call that math?
Metalcore,
early 2000, like in
a little more spazzy.
2001. Yeah.
Oh,
but from about what? You and I were jamming.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it just it was one of those things where it came together real, like ridiculously slow. Rich works third shift, and at the time he was working 6 nights a week. So we practiced just me and him on Saturdays, once a month for years. It was kind of ridiculous.
Jeez.
And that
bass, just guitar and drums and a jam room. And
it was really hard to get a bass player down there. And that EP we first released in 2019, we recorded most of that in 2014.
Around there. It sat around almost indefinitely. And it wasn't actually until Kishore, who was at one of our shows, we had a different
first show.
It was our first show. We had a different bass player who was just named Corey Blanchett. Great dude, great energy, and he was kind of in the ranks just to play a show, have a good time, and then
he was filling it.
He was filling it. But the funny thing about that was he was one of my best buds, and he was only filling in as a favor to me because he's not a metal guy. He's like a indie punk kind of dude, and he was like, "Dude, I respect your music, and I want to do this for you, but let's get another bass player as soon as you can." And his head was he's like, "Listen, at this first show we play, someone's going to be there and he's going to want to play bass for you." And that is literally what happened. Kishore was there at our first show.
What happened was I had jammed with Rich from I had seen his old band play at another show. His current band too, In Human Form. This black metal band, they're fantastic. But I saw them play. This is a whole chain of random occurrences. I saw them play one night, and the next day I was walking my kid to school, and I saw Rich walking his kid to school.
We didn't know each other before. It was the weekend after the show. I'm like, "Dude, I recognize you at the show." I'm like,
we lived a 5-minute walk apart. And didn't know it. So I was like, "Hey, let's jam sometime." And we played a bit, guitar and drums, and then I found out about their show because of that. So I saw Heavy Meta, and I was totally blown away. And I was like, "Wow, I really want to play with these guys." And so I basically grabbed Phil, and I was like, "Hey, I heard you talking about wanting somebody else in your band. Can I join your band?"
Just to bring it back to that EP though. So these tracks were kicking around. We had 4 tracks from 2012 that weren't going anywhere. Drums were recorded, scratch guitars and such. So then he comes into the fold. He's a wizard in the studio for real.
It's all of a sudden we released this thing because he came into the picture and was let's get this fucking thing out.
Breathed some new life into those tunes. And that's when that EP got released. When was that?
It was 2019. So we started playing together in the summer of 2018. And we started working on all these songs, including some of the songs that are actually on the new album. And then in 2019, we managed to finish that recording, started playing shows together. And then at the end of the year, boom.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I do want to ask. So you started writing the EP in 2014. How did it feel having to sit on that for 5 years? Like, that's wild.
Yeah, no, it kind of sucked, but it was like we had friends like the guitar player from my first like metal core mathcore band like back in 2001 tried on bass, and he came in for a day and like kind of was gonna do it, and then kind of flaked on us, and then we had didn't we have a guy you used to jam with at like the band rooms or something come down before too? I don't even know what happened to that. Like they were good. Why did we not go with them? I don't even remember. Like it was so long ago at this point. I don't even know how it all happened.
But I know that it made you really happy to see all this stuff come together for the album specifically.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, so you did the EP, and now you're back with your debut album. Again, Mana Regmata, back on the 11th. So, what's different this time around?
Well, sitting on it for as long as we did was not an option.
We just.
Yeah, it seems like y'all actually did this one pretty timely. I guess it's not really 3 years yet. It's pretty good.
Well, when the pandemic hit, we just like. I was just like, all right, well, we're gonna, it was obligatory like pandemic album time. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, all right, so what else are we gonna do? So I got a bunch of equipment, and we just started on it, like getting kind of pre-production on songs, and we recorded the drums. 6 months later, back.
Had all the scratch tracks with the clicks.
20.
And how many tunes on there that we've never actually we never rehearsed?
We've still never. Yeah,
we've played 4 of the songs on there together, and then the others are just like sort of. I wouldn't call them studio tracks exactly. It's just like they started off as demos, and we never really had the chance so far.
We haven't even practiced in 2 years. It's not.
That's what I was gonna say. We hadn't been in a room and actually really made a bunch of cohesive noise since March of. I want to say actually the date was like it was like March 14th something. It was like one school.
It was February, dude.
Me and you got together once. In March.
Anyways, early 2020.
It's been 2 years.
Jesus Christ! How did y'all write this then? Or it's been done since March, or like what do you?
No, the songs we were just like sending stuff. Like I had like pretty complete demos. Kishore, master demo man, had just like stuff. 2 songs that were just like
worms
completely done that needed nothing. We were like, all right, I don't know what to do. Let's just record. I know, but they were just like, they didn't need any work. And then with the tunes that I had, they just, we exchanged ideas and
via email. It's a lot of email, like little. I would put it on my computer.
Tunes,
I'd put stuff on my computer. I'd chop it up and be like, maybe we could play it like this, and he'd send it back and be like, let's do it more like this. And ultimately, those are Phil's songs. It's like it's Phil's bands. So
6 of them are mine. But it was me and Rich from the beginning. But with Kishore on the band, it's obviously solidified the band. We sat on an EP for 5 years, and he comes in the band. We released it.
He was the difference. Later, if you want to know the difference, having him in the fold was the difference.
It really was. He's the closer. He made both of the album art from the EP and the album.
I'm gonna go. You guys.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, so you all live close to each other, obviously. So like, why didn't y'all meet up more and like record together or write songs together?
Well, they actually recorded together. But usually what happens, even when we were rehearsing regularly, is that Phil will demo a lot of the songs just as guitar and program drums. And then he'll email those to us so that we have something to work from. And if he has like bass parts that he wants me to learn for something specific, he'll send me tabs. So then we all learn the songs, and then we talk about them and talk about how to like change them, chop them up and stuff. So a lot of that practice that we had of doing stuff online was already built in before we started the recording. We just haven't been able to physically get together and actually jam.
Yeah,
we're all busy guys. We got kids, and they're having.
Yeah, we're having kids in a week and a half. Not together. Pregnant with his baby. He's pregnant with my baby right now.
So, but just the thought that came to mind was kind of gone are the days where you could just sit in a room and like come up with ideas on the fly a little bit. You know what I mean? A lot of the writing is done prior, and it's all figured out, and chunks are put together.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like we're just in a room and kind of maybe a couple ideas spawn like that. I can think of a couple of parts
Yep.
when we were jamming a lot.
Yep.
But it's almost something that even the thought of it it's daunting to try to, you know, because for one, we don't even get together, you know, as much as we should. And then to try to get maybe a jam going where we're like, okay, we're going to write something now.
Yeah, it's tough.
It seems to make a lot more sense in this day and age to kind of, I guess, observe the way that we put together this album, which is big chunks put together in, you know, your own time. And then once it's cohesive, that's when we can,
we'll get together, make tweaks and stuff here and there, you know.
We tweaked a lot of the songs even after that process. Like when we were jamming, we tweaked a lot of those songs in the room. So what you're hearing is kind of a hybrid. It definitely starts off as like a lot of those songs as Phil's creation, you know, but then when we start actually playing it live, changes get made. Sometimes like it makes it a lot harder. There are some parts where we're like, no, this, you know, we need to add stuff in, and
I know we're already complaining about how hard it is. Then we're like, oh, let's make this harder.
Let's make this more. Yeah, that's fantastic. And then,
but you got to do it. You got to do it if it makes sense.
Right.
But just the act of playing it through will teach you so much, because like there's a feel there. If the feel is wrong, you'll know it. You're playing, you're like, oh no, this doesn't work. I mean, even if you rehearse it a billion times, it might just not be right.
Yeah.
You know. So I imagine that some of these tunes will probably change a little bit for the live versions, even when we start playing shows again,
which we do have aspirations to.
Yes. We also need a keyboard player. So if you can mail somebody up from Texas, that would be super cool.
Before we go further, I did have to ask you guys, why would you pick the name Heavy Metal? Like, it probably just gets auto-completed as metal, like, all the time. I know it does on Instagram. Like, why would you pick that?
I guess this is a question to me. I don't know. I just
a joke, more of a joke at first.
You know, it's definitely tongue in cheek, and I didn't consider autocomplete or the internet when I came up with it. I guess, you know what I mean? It's just I kind of liked, like, I don't know, the idea of the fact that the name Heavy Meta is meta to begin with, because it's self-referencing heavy metal in and of it. I don't know. I like that idea. It was kind of funny and cheeky to me, and in a genre that, like, I never wanted to be like, I never wanted it to be like too serious, but I also never wanted it to be like silly. Maybe it does sound silly to people. I don't know, but
silly. I remember
it doesn't sound silly necessarily. It's just I can see it being an obstacle to getting your name out there.
Yeah,
well, that's fine.
Yeah, hey, we love obstacles. You know, I mean, it's like make an EP and release it 6 years later.
When I first heard the band name, I had the exact same reaction. I was like, why would you call your band that? But then after I listened to the music a bit, I was like, it makes perfect sense, you know?
and I mean, there's definitely a couple things that show up under heavy metal. Like I've seen some albums that have been titled that.
Yeah, the
couple
Necrobablicon, the heavy metal. This is a Ron Gallo album,
and it's a fire-breathing car in Toronto.
Yes, there's that as well.
But it's also not like a zillion other metal bands, unlike, you know, whatever, like Defecator.
Right. I guess it was kind of that too. Like I didn't want to. I was trying to like kind of get away from, I guess, that kind of thing, like the kind of, I don't know.
Right. Do something more like a left turn rather than like what people are expecting you to.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we released this, and you know, it's had some stuff on like some decent websites and stuff. Like when you type in heavy meta, it comes up now.
So
like,
now we're going to get sued by the parent company of Facebook.
We're going to get sued by that too.
I didn't even think about that. That's fucking great.
I saw when they did the name change.
I know. I was like, oh shit,
we're screwed.
So what genre would you call yourselves? How do you pitch to a blog or like, I don't know, a reviewer or something like
that? Well, I mean,
there's that famous tagline,
black
legs,
progressive cowboy Nintendo Core.
Yeah,
not just progressive cowboy Nintendo Core, but blackened.
It is definitely blackened.
Progressive cowboy. Yeah, no. I read that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's kind of been one of the hard things about it. And like when we were talking to Austin about this too, you know, that we didn't really know how to describe it because it didn't. really fit in with anything. And we didn't set out to write a metalcore album. I mean, I don't listen to a ton of metalcore. I
Yeah.
don't think any of us do.
Yeah.
You know, but that's undeniably a big part of what it turned out to be.
Right.
Be more mathcore or metalcore, like
Well, I mean, when I'm
Definitely
talking about
metalcore
metalcore, I'm
elements,
talking
those
about
chunky,
right.
like power
Yeah,
chord, like hard,
90s
you know,
stuff.
yeah.
You know, Stark Weather and
It's-
Worm. And
it's hard to definitely hard to use just one word to cover it all. Obviously, like any band, each of its members listen to, you know, a million other bands,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so it's just a little bit of each.
The thing that's funny too is like in a lot of the reviews we've gotten, like it kind of struck me how, because I didn't even realize, just because I mean I just write what I write, but like is it the reference to like how we sound like so many different things?
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't completely aware of that. Like I was just like, I'm just writing what I write, and like it just seems like there's kind of this, a lot of people just want something that is just like one thing, you know what I mean? Or a couple things. And it's like, I guess we're all too many different things. I don't know. And I'm trying to do that.
that's good.
It really is a natural reaction when you hear a particular kind of music to naturally just want to compare it to something that you've heard or reminds you of something. When somebody shows me something, I say, oh, that's cool. It reminds me of this. And I hear a little bit of that. So that's kind of just like, you know, a natural result of what.
Well, I'm going to do that to you right now. I would say you're kind of like early Mastodon meets Protested here with a little bit of Between the Buried and Me thrown into it. But like, I mean, I'm not even sure it's a full description of what you guys sound like. I guess I'd call you progressive metal. This is like progressive metalcore, I guess. Make it a little
take
easier.
that.
Actually, I think I've been calling you guys progressive mathcore on all my posts and stuff.
One of the things that we all have in common when we actually all get together is we sit around and listen to like old prog rock and old fusion.
Yeah, it's very true.
Like stuff from the 70s. We'll put on like Mahavishnu Orchestra.
For sure, all the way from
King Crimson, Gentle Giant.
You know, it's like
Return to Forever.
Yeah.
Al Di Meola. Those are
Al Di Meola
the
is
shit-
one
all
of
the
my
shit
biggest
Korea stuff.
influences. It's that's, I mean, if influence wise for stuff, it's like the stuff that I always come back to listening wise. And that's one of the reasons I have a hard time like listing stuff I would be listening to now. It's like, it's always like Al Di Meola, like Primus, and like, well, aside, I mean, Queens of the Stone Age always. This is a weird thing that I'm always talking. This has nothing to do with what we do, but I'm obsessed with Queens of the Stone Age.
I actually really like them too.
They're like one of my favorite bands of all time. And we don't sound anything like that.
I used them as a mix reference when I was doing the drums even. You can't tell.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Runs the gamut, you know?
Okay, so we got Queens of the Stone Age as influences. What other influences should we put are involved here?
I mean, many, but I don't know how much they translate into the music.
Yeah.
For you, what are your influences?
I mean, I'll drop some Zappa for sure. One of my favorite musicians of all time. I like the Coltrane's, both John and Alice. Prince, I'm a nut for Prince.
All the Prince.
He actually came out with a newer album too. Welcome to America. Just it was recorded I think 2010, but he's got a lot of new material released. Mahavishnu Orchestra, one of my favorite bands of all time. 70s fusion supergroup. John McLaughlin, Shakti. You know, world music. I love world music, Arabic music, Indian music. I mean, that's just my own personal hip hop all day. Jay Dilla. Obliv, Knowledge, beat music.
He brings so much to the table.
I was gonna say it's like everything.
He will come up with
the
most bizarre shit. It's amazing.
When I'm in the practice room, I like just practicing myself. I'll just throw on some kind of like metronome programmed beat music. Like I'll throw on like
thing I shared the other day, the Marrakesh thing. It was
Tangerine Dream, or I'll throw on some Biggie, some old Biggie, something off of Ready to Die. Give me the loot, like old rap tunes, Bone Thugs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a hip hop head. Yeah, it's like anything with a good solid groove. I like groove. So that personally, anything heavy on the groove, a lot of like the metal stuff I like is heavy on groove. Like, I love all the Pantera stuff, Death, early Death, Individual Thought Patterns, Human, Spiritual Healing. I mean, you name it. Groove heavy. That's if it's groove heavy, I like it. Donna Mitty is another crazy minimalistic polyrhythmic album. So Rhythm, man.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I mean, I was always I was always a prog death guy. So like Atheist, also death, like early Opeth. And then I guess I listened to a bunch of other like progressive rock. So for this band, definitely like King Crimson and Gentle Giant. And also like Faith No More.
Yeah.
You know, huge fan of Faith No More. And a bunch of the other stuff from the 90s that was like everything goes, just take it all, like do that. Love stuff.
One other like random shout out I want to say is for whatever, I don't know. Do you remember the Toadies back in the
I've
mid
never.
90s?
Well, I mean, I might have heard them on the radio or something and not known it, but I don't think I've ever actually listened.
I mean, the song that's always on the radio that everyone really knows is the song called Possum Kingdom, which is kind of whatever. It was kind of a radio hit. But the first song they came out with was a song called Backslider. And when I was probably like 13, and that was when I was like really getting into like rock. And it's probably one of the things that like shaped my path more than anything. And it's the fucking random band from Texas, like on Interscope Records that, you know, no one really cares about right now. You know what I mean? Like who are the Toadies? But
it's such an interesting mix of like influences that you guys have. Just like it kind of seems like y'all wouldn't be into this type of music, but you ended up here. So like I just don't understand where like it comes from. I don't know. Mixing like jazz with death metal and stuff, it kind of seems like y'all would be in a different direction, but here you are with like more metal core-ish kind of stuff.
But at the same time, it's like, you know, we haven't mentioned like the trajectory from there is like, I mean, I was into like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and stuff like that, which kind of directly leads to, well, not leads to, but it's in the path some way, you know. And then when Dillinger came out and stuff, like I was just in high school, like anything that sounded cool to me, you know what I mean? And that just happened to be.
So we took it all and put it on.
Yeah, exactly. Like
throw it in a blender.
And Conversion. And part of the reason too, I think, is that like from there, I never really laser focused on those genres, you know what I mean? And got into like a million bands in that vein, you know, like I'm not into like a ton of bands like that. Like it's kind of like, there's just like a few of them that I kind of took from, you know, and then mix that with like 90s alternative and Ministry and Dick Dale and Nine Inch Nails. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's shit like that. And it kind of makes this weird thing come out, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
So moving on to recording process, you guys were mentioning that y'all like built a studio essentially to record everything. Is that accurate?
I mean,
you need a lot of mics and a lot of equipment to record drums and stuff. So you guys have had to like done something. Huh.
We're in the room now that the drums are recorded in.
We could
basement of Phil's house.
I could do a little.
Yeah, show 'em.
If you want to see the rig, this is the rig. Let's see.
Damn.
I recorded on that. That's my triple X amp that I use with the turnaround faceplate. The drums we use and the mics are kind of everywhere. I mean, it's a mess in here, but
how many mics did you have on the drums still down?
Too many. It was like
too many.
Was there 14 or 15?
Jesus Christ.
I had so many damn drum
that
tracks.
was a lot. It was a lot. I gave Kishore like too much work. I feel bad about it. Because I kind of engineered it and he mixed it. He's an amazing mixer. He's got such a good
He did
ear.
a great job with the drums too.
Before I forget,
He
I
did
want
so much work on the drums.
I want to mention props to you being the snare dictator that you were. We recorded drums in about 3 different chunks, kind of, and one of them was spaced from like November to February. So about 4 months. So I got this nice kind of old new vintage snare, locked it up, tuned it up. I mean, this kid is like got a guitar tuner, you know, around like the note, like where you would tune each part of the snare.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, my snare was held hostage for the better of the recording over here for about 4 to 5 months. So I wouldn't take it home, you know, beat the hell out of it, bring it back, set it up in a different spot.
Yeah.
So that was
not allowed.
One cool little
not allowed.
Cool little thing. I'm glad. We kept things in position. You know, we didn't move stuff around during that time.
So what they did was they recorded the drums, and then Phil they did that to scratch tracks. Then Phil went and recorded his guitars I was also doing my bass to the drum tracks once he put them all together. And then we came back over here to do the main lead vocals. But I also have a studio at my place, so that's where I was doing the mixing, the bass, a bunch of like additional guitars, keyboards, backup vocals, all that kind of stuff. We like had some of these guys come over for little vocal parts. So I guess 2 different studios that we had going.
I assume you have experience mixing prior, right?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of stuff for other bands, and then mostly just stuff of my own. Just a lot of that over. I started recording on the computer about 20 years ago, but like actually started recording right when I started playing guitar when I was like 13 years old. I had a boombox, and then eventually I got a Tascam 4-track, and so I've just been like glued to recording my entire life. But never.
You can
really
check out his stuff, Black Harvest.
Yeah,
Black Harvest.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
check it out. It's brilliant.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but yeah.
Who'd you have drumming on that? Kenny
Grahowski.
Kenny Grahowski. Oh my gosh, yeah. You got him on drums on his.
One of the EPs that I did, I got a real drummer. The rest of them are programmed, but I got Kenny from Imperial Triumphant to drum on.
Oh damn.
And then there's actually some other stuff that your stuff reminded me of when I was listening to The Sound That Ends Creation. I did a project with another vocalist, a guy from Long Island from this band called The Communion. You might dig. It's called Crisis Actor, but then there are like 16 bands called Crisis Actor.
I was actually just talking to the guitarist of Crisis Actor earlier today, talking about trying to get him on the show. Oh,
different Crisis.
Oh, there's multiples of them. Okay, I might be wrong then.
Like 16 now.
Yeah. 17 now.
If you want to hear it, the EP is called Homeschool Shooter. Yeah, and then the other
This is slightly problematic. Okay.
And then the other EP is called Rape. This is really fantastic for you guys. I'm sorry. This is great advertising. But you might. Yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff that I mixed and even tried mastering, but I found through a lot of trial and error that it's much better to have more ears on it for the mastering process. Yeah. So we sent that out.
Me personally, I'm a sound recording engineer dropout. I went to UMass Lowell in their SRT program, and I was in 2001, and I only did like a year, and I dropped out because of the solfege, which was you had to, because like at that recording program, it's all like hardcore music classes too, and you have to like be able to sing like sight sing, you know what I mean? And I do it with like thirds and fifths or whatever, but then when you had to be tested, like I just couldn't do it at all. So it totally that's basically why I dropped out of like the sound recording program, because like the music stuff, doing the solfege just like totally ruined it for me. And but anyway, since then, like when I was there, I had like the Digio 1 racks like way back in the day and all that. So I've been recording ever since and stuff. I'm not as good of a mixer as Kishore. I've mixed some albums, but he can mix like hell. I'm like, his ears are insane.
By the time that I finished this project, I was so burned out on trying to get it right that I couldn't hear it at all. I would turn it on and it's like it had scraped holes in my brain where the music should go. And so I would press play and instantly I'd be like, oh, everything sounds wrong and I don't understand what's happening. And I'd have to turn it off. But
how long did it take you to actually mix it?
Oh Jesus.
We started mixing probably in May.
It took me most of the summer. I mean, I was mixing, recording, doing extra parts, like all this stuff.
There was a lot of stuff going on at once.
He was finishing up his guitar parts. We were like finishing up the vocals. So like this was all happening, like everything in tandem with one another.
He'd send it to us. We'd all listen. We'd say, oh, this, that's cool. Try this, do this, and whatever else he was already doing.
Mixing
on top
by
of that.
committee.
We'd say, this sounds like dog shit. Start over again, Kishore.
And I'd cry. And I'd pick myself up.
But no, like I get it. I do mixing and mastering also. Whenever I do like another band's, it'll take like a week, maybe two, to get it right. And then my own stuff took me like 2.5 months or something, because every time you find one little thing you want to tweak or whatever, then you go down this hole, and the next day you're like, God, that sounded like shit. What the fuck was I thinking?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
it's
found-
always easier. I think it's easier to mix other people's stuff than your own, because it's like anytime it's your own thing, like everything
matters.
can sound weird with the tiniest difference,
Right.
and like it's just hard to really get it where you really envision it. If you're doing someone else, it's like, I don't know, it seems like it's easier to.
Do you think you listen to like For Fault more for your own stuff versus looking
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
It's not like I mixed a ton of other
don't ask
stuff.
me, because I just show up to smash.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Yeah, I only hear flaws most of the time when I listen to anything that I've done, like ever,
Right?
which is terrible. So I never listen to it. But it was even worse because it was like we'd go through a round of mixes and get everything right, and then like we'd have to add some stuff, this synth part or whatever it was that like completely screwed up everything. So
Yeah, then you got to get that to sit in the mix, and
so it was just a lot of, I mean, I don't know, I think we had this thing like completed like maybe 3 times.
yeah, probably.
And then we're like, no, let's try this, and then like boom, that's another like 2 weeks away.
I would personally love each new round, because not only did they get better, there was new little parts actually, and some of the parts were so substantial that it, like at least with Psalm, he added a beginning part in Psalm 6, which is track 4.
Yeah, track 4.
It gave it this whole like new like minor kind of sound to it. It's almost like it almost made it a new song altogether. Some of the minor textures and changes he added just really, in other words, made it seem like a new song. In particular parts, Vicious, which is a good example of that. He added
the solo and the vocals at the line, end of like Vicious Wishes were all him, and that we were just like, oh, you finished the fucking album. This is what it needed. This is perfect. And that ending part with like the sample at the end and all that, like that was all him. He's the closer. Coffee's for closes, Kishore.
And then the samples were all Patrick's idea, our vocalist. He had very specific ideas of what samples he wanted, where they needed to go.
Yeah.
So that was one of his big additions. And then he also came up with a bunch of clean vocal parts for me to sing. Thanks, Patrick.
Oh, you did the clean vocals then. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
He had the ideas, but he didn't know if he could execute them. So he gave them to Kishore, and Kishore did his thing.
Kishore could be a part of a Gregorian chant outfit if he wanted
I didn't mention this before. Love early music, Gregorian chant, and also like Georgian traditional choral music.
We should probably hashtag those every time we hype our album.
Bulgarian women's choir, and traditional music from Chechnya and stuff. Like all that stuff is so beautiful that that choral music is actually a big part of what I want to do when I write like guitar parts, when I write harmonies for whatever. Like I'm always thinking about that stuff.
There's a tune actually on the EP. What the hell? Not Tendencies. The end.
Oh, the end of that. Yeah.
He does a chant, and it's you want to talk about influences creeping in. There is some of that creeps into heavy. It's at the end of Tendencies.
That's nice wild to say that those are like influences for your music. Your Gregorian chants.
For the next album.
Georgian chant.
Mostly influenced by Gregorian chant. It will be.
Although I did tell them that was my Italian chef impression when I was doing the part. Definitely like, whoa, yeah. I'm gonna stop right now.
So let's move on to the artwork. Who did the artwork?
I did.
This guy
really?
again.
Nice.
Yeah. I think my friend Greg from Pseudo Sentai.
Oh yeah.
Do you know them?
Yeah.
Do you remember their album Pseudo Sentai?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've
Sentai
listened to it, but yeah.
Yeah, Enter the Sentai, that painting of like the guys in the buildings and stuff. Right. That was actually the first times I got to do like an oil painting for an album cover.
Oh, nice.
I had done some covers before that, but since then I've actually started doing a lot of oil paintings for album covers and other stuff like album art. So that's actually what I do for kind of a quasi living.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that you did artwork and stuff.
Yeah. But for this band, I really wanted it to look different. So I did it all. That was actually hand drawn on the computer with a stylus.
This one, the heavy
And,
metal one, or the other one? Okay.
The heavy metal one. Both of the heavy metal ones actually were hand drawn on the computer with a stylus. Just really wanted to have like have a different feel. I wanted to develop a different vocabulary for the artwork for this band.
It makes me think of Soviet Russia for some reason, like with the hammer and like the rays of the sun coming up and stuff.
I can see that. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of propaganda art and also just like graphic art going back to like woodcuts back when printing first started. That has this really wonderful quality to it that something about propaganda art in particular made me want to use it for this band, just because of the way that it well, okay, there are a couple of things about it. It can be really tongue-in-cheek, it can also be deadly serious at the same time. It can be very bold, and it can give people a sense that they're a part of some story in a way that they might not actually be, so in that way it can warp somebody's sense of reality. And so all of that was kind of playing in my head when I was thinking about what the art needed to be for the band.
I think it looks sick.
But yeah, thank you. I appreciate
really
that.
good job.
Thank you.
Personally, I couldn't talk up Kishore's art.
You want to
enough.
show the shirt?
I'm gonna in a second, but just to go back to that story. Remember when we met at the school after the show there?
Yeah.
I did not even know the level of his artistic endeavors when he told me that he mentioned, I've been doing some painting and stuff. I'm thinking the kid's painting around the house. Honestly, when he told me that, I didn't really know him at all at that point. But like, what you've been, just doing some painting and stuff. And then he goes and sends me, a link, or I'm looking at some of his stuff, and it's, dude.
It's insane.
Get over to this kid's website. KishoreHollandbeak.com.
You don't have to advertise, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
But we do.
You need to send me that over like the email or something like that, so I can link it in the description.
Quick shirt plug here too.
Hey, check it out. It's the new heavy metal shirt. They look great.
Nice. That's awesome.
Too, I have to say.
Chisel.
But yeah, thinking it painted around the house. I mean, like when I was in college, actually, I went to school for painting, and I would I got this like a bunch when I was walking around the neighborhood near my college. People would drive by and they'd be like, "What are you in school for?" And I'd be like, "Painting houses." They drive like the funniest thing in the world, I guess.
It is kind of
funny.
funny.
I don't want to bring up.
No. I've also painted houses for money, and that's fine too. I actually really enjoy that kind of work.
And we go to a house that he's painted, and it's this giant mural. It's like all beautiful. Instead of just like
struggle to do straight lines just like everybody else.
No, all I can say though is when not long after Kishore joined the band, and we decided to. I mean, we were working on the EP like a couple months after, probably.
Yeah.
Like he showed me the artwork for the EP, and I was like, Jesus Christ, yes! Like I was just, yes, that's the one, that's it, and I was very happy with it. Yeah, we got tapes. It says on It says on our website that we're out of tapes, but we're actually not. I don't know why it says that on the band.
I don't know. Does it
probably
say
because it was connected to Constant Disappointment. His tapes are out, so we could say we have tapes now.
Okay,
we have tapes. Not a ton.
Yeah,
but only for the EP, not the.
Definitely cool having an artist, a mixer,
right? All the money you saved.
Yeah, it helps.
We love
helps.
All right.
So I got a random question that we ask everybody here. What do you put on your hot dogs?
I'm a sauerkraut and mustard guy.
Okay.
I'm an onion, mustard, and relish guy, straight up.
Nice. Okay.
Don't mean to say fuck you to that question, but I haven't eaten a hot dog in maybe about 10 years.
If you had one in front of you, what would you put on it?
All right.
Gummy bears?
Kimchi, man. Kimchi.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
It would have so much like kimchi sauce, like the bun would just be like disintegrating. Like I put kimchi on it.
Dude, I love all these answers. There's always somebody that ruins it and puts ketchup on it, and yeah, that's when I end the call. That's awesome. So Your Facebook only lists 3 shows back in 2019. You guys said that you're planning on playing more though coming up.
Yeah.
When we can.
We
When
gotta
can.
get tuned up as an outfit.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we get into it, we have some work to do as far as that goes, and we're going to be getting on that very soon.
Nice. Okay. What would you say your best show that has been so far?
I personally thought that when we were with Constant Disappointment, that record release show, that was pretty fire over downtown Lowell.
Okay.
I think our first,
I
our
like the
first
coffee
show
shop.
with
The
that
first
was
show?
fun. That
First
was
show was
fun
good.
actually. There just wasn't anyone there, so
It doesn't matter.
yeah.
Which one was the first one?
The
The
first
one-
show with Keyshaw
the
was
one
like
before
in
the-
February.
The one that Uncharted up on the stage. Like,
Yeah. All those were fun.
I mean,
the
my
coffee shop
personal
one was awesome.
My personal
It
favorite,
was.
the coffee shop show,
Yeah.
is just the way that I like playing shows, which is like
On the
just down
ground,
on the ground in front of everybody.
loud.
I think
You're
we
right
played,
there.
We,
You know,
that
Place
was
was
probably
called Fast
the best
Coffee.
we
Was
played.
it
no strong
strong?
style.
It was a
strong-
place they
I don't
their
remember.
their whole like shtick was that you got your own not cold but French press coffee at your like they gave you a little French press. They put the coffee in it.
We're really
Here's the
selling
French
this
press,
show.
and they
This
would,
was our
yeah, I
best
know,
show.
right? Yeah, it was kind of like a punk coffee house, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And they if you order your coffee, your French press, they hand you the French press, and they give you a timer. You time it for 4 minutes, and then you press it and pour it into your mug. That was the. But
I would have
sounds
had
crazy, but it's
That's
a good
so
idea.
interesting.
I would have had footage of that show had I. Well, I did have footage, but no sound on the
That
camera.
sucks.
I just
Nice.
like there's a little like it wasn't a GoPro, it was like called like an ape or something, an ape man, I forget. And I just didn't hit the button to allow for audio to record. I just hit record, and when I played it back, we were going
We were doing good.
we were going nuts. We look
Oh, yeah.
we look cool, but there was no sound on it.
That doesn't help.
So
it was
The energy was great.
The
That
energy was
was the thing. Like
Yeah.
when I'm just like down on the floor in front of people, the amp is behind me, and we're all just like on the same level, and like they're right in front of my face. It's like that. That's the feeling I want. You know, that's when
Yeah.
music really like means something. You can feel how it's almost like you're interacting with it.
Yeah.
Then when I'm up on a stage, I always feel kind of like sterile, and I'm playing, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing, and I'm playing for you, and I'm worried about getting it right for you. And it's
What
never,
he's saying is, if anyone wants to offer a show where we're up on a big stage in front of a
Don't.
lot of
Yeah,
people, like we're not
No.
going to do
a
that.
lot of people's
okay?
fine.
We're just-
Stage, no.
We would definitely do that.
So what would you say your worst show's been?
as a unit. Because I've had ones where I've outside of these guys. I mean, you're probably not wondering, but Connecticut getting pulled over before a show, or coming to load the drums and having a flat tire. Like those are probably like my worst show experiences. But as a unit, I mean, for the amount of shows that we've had, I can't really pinpoint to one personally that was like the worst. I mean, a worst show. I don't know. There was like had a couple of guitar cable issues or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't know if it broke a string
Nothing
at
fun
one
to
point
talk
or something
about.
like that, but
Nothing terrible.
nothing where like the
Nothing
ceiling
out of the
caved in or
ordinary.
anything like that.
But
Yeah.
if we want to get in
Nice.
in musician history or just playing history, like my worst show ever was when I played drums in a band. And when I was like 19 years old, we played in this place called Lynn, Massachusetts. And it's called Lynn, the City of Sin, because it's like considered the worst city in Massachusetts. And
We just lost a whole bunch of fans from
and
Lynn.
when we were going home, our car broke down, and we didn't find out till like I don't know, maybe like a few days later that it was like literally the worst part of Lynn, the City of Sin. And but we ended up a friend came by, and we had to get in his truck. We laid in the back of his truck in the middle of winter to get home. And like he had like blankets and stuff. We were in we left the car there, and this is how we got home, was sitting in the back of a pickup truck in the middle of winter going on the highway. And we got pulled over by the cops too. I don't even remember. We didn't get arrested somehow.
The worst
I mean,
shows are always in the middle of winter.
Yeah. There's no question. That's how it happens.
That's pretty
That's
wild.
totally
dude.
random. just the first thing that came to my mind. I was probably 19 years old or something. I don't even know.
Brutal.
That does sound awful.
It was bad. It was bad. Has nothing to do with the actual show, but you know.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you got other guys have bad experiences in other bands, go on ahead. Let's hear them.
All right.
You can go. The only other, like, I've had times where I've just like on the drums have like spaced out on parts, and you literally just jamming out for a while. I think that's like one of the most terrifying things to like. You can't hear stuff you're playing. You're literally just like an improv metal band for like 30 seconds, just hoping you can land. To me, one of the worst possible things that could happen. I mean, there's many, but from a performance standpoint, would be having to stop and not knowing how to get back in. And there's been times where that's been very close because I've skipped parts. I've didn't know what was coming up next. So
we all get in the zone a little too much. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He might say that, but he's actually one of the most dependable, solid drummers that I've ever played with. I got to say, this dude is an absolute joy to play with. I always know that he's going to know where one is. And like,
that's important.
And I test them on that because I'll be throwing out fill-ins that'll never happen in jam.
Yep. It's always a trust fall.
Yeah.
When we're playing with Rich. But he's always there to catch us. It's fantastic.
I'm Jim.
I mean, my worst show with them was just where I did exactly what they're talking about, where I like completely beefed apart that, to be fair, Phil wrote this really complicated part that I just got lost in, and it's his fault for making me do that.
It is. I take complete responsibility.
But yeah, I was playing something, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, no. And I looked at the guys, and they're like, yeah, no, but we can kind of, But and so I that was a couple of years ago, and I still beat myself up about it, but it was fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad y'all don't really have like a worst show yet. Hopefully we keep it that way.
Give it time, you'll be licking piss off the floor at some dive bar.
At Denny's,
yes. So you guys have CDs available on your Bandcamp. So I got the shirts. Where can they get shirts from?
The link is actually on our Bandcamp page.
I think we need to move that. Seems a little buried.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a link on our Bandcamp page, but it's a made-to-order thing, so you'll be ordering it through our Teespring site, and then they're printed whatever size you need. Yeah. Yep. Nice. I wish I had and then if you're interested in the EP design, we have those shirts. We can just mail those out. Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's wrap this up with your album of the year for last year.
You want?
You go, because we don't really, we already talked about this. We don't really have one so much.
My favorite, I'd have to say it was the Ad Nauseum album, Imperative Imperceptible Impulse. And that's one of the best like dissonant metal albums that I've heard in years. Just the way that they put everything together. It's so intricate and cerebral, and I don't know, they really took their playing, and I think just that whole style to a new level. I love that album.
Hell yeah. They made a lot of year-end lists. I actually tried to get them on here, but I never heard back from them. Yeah, awesome album.
Anything from you guys?
I'm just so all over the board.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm listening, to music that's been out since, eons ago. So nothing that I can pinpoint that particularly came out from 21, unfortunately.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's embarrassing to say, but
you gotta catch up. You gotta get on the back up to date.
What's that?
Said you gotta catch up. You gotta get back up to date with music.
I know we do. It's bad. We really do.
But no, it's actually a common thing that I hear is that people don't really keep up to date on stuff.
I mean, there's so much that like I was either too young for, or I just like straight up missed when I was growing up the first time around. And so for me, a lot of it's like new. I got into Gentle Giant only a few years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for me, like digging through their discography is just like discovering something new. They're mind blowing. That album, The Power and the Glory in particular, has been for the past couple of years a big inspiration. And for me, it just feels totally fresh, even though it's almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, personally, that's my favorite thing to do is to find new old music that I've never heard it. So, it's even though it was recorded, 40, 45 years ago, it's still fresh. And I mean, that's kind of the stuff there's a couple of YouTube channels I like a lot that post, either whole entire albums or cuts from, old obscure artists. So just digging into some of that, is kind of where I spend a lot of my musical headspace on. But these guys he sent me that album that he mentioned ad nauseum. That's a great listen. But as far as one that I could point to for certain that I would, I was looking up, how do you say it? Hylung?
Yeah.
Futha is the name of that album, but that came out in 2019. That was a really interesting album for me.
Well, I got one question here from chat. Austin Weber's in the chat, and I know he did some promotion for you guys and such. I meant for this to be the first question, but I forgot about it. He says, "Does God smoke meth in heaven? Why or why not?" Your biggest fan, Austin.
No, it's concrete, and God is a woman. That smokes concrete. She smokes concrete. Yeah.
All right.
That's the definitive. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're looking for some progressive metalcore, you should check out Mana Reg Mata, the debut album from Heavy Meta, which dropped back on the 11th this month. Where can people find you?
Well, all the usual places. We're on Twitter, Heavy Meta Band. We're on Facebook. It's just
Yep,
Heavy Meta.
Instagram,
Heavy Meta.
Heavymeta.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
All
you
the
also got
usual.
that Teespring site that we'll be linking in the description as well. But yeah, as for me, drop my channel, follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to the interviews before they hit YouTube, as well as get some exclusive emotes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube folks, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, tickle the notification bell. Don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Is Creation, at soundthatinskreation.bandcamp.com. My new album, Boomers, Zoomers, Desperate Coomers, is out now. My next guest is P.S. You're Dead, who's dropping her debut album this Friday. Join us this Sunday at 7 p.m. Central for the live cast. Thanks for being here, guys. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you much.
See you later.
Thanks
Thanks
a
for
lot,
having
dude.
us.
Appreciate
Hell
it.
yeah. And thank you guys for watching and listening.